Hey folks, this is Matt from Chez Pascal in the Wurst kitchen, and we're doing a real quick little video. We're up at Wurst Berry Farm in Sharon, Massachusetts, and we're right in the beginning of corn season. We're actually here to film the peaches, which we're going to talk about, but I couldn't get away from eating some corn. So real quick, this is the earlier varieties that they grow here, and they were telling me that they generally are shorter in height because of the early varieties. They say you look for the color in the tassel, which is this kind of, it's brownish, sort of rust color, it's dry, and you look to see that the tip of the corn is completely filled out, which this one has. So then what we did was we just broke it off, and they were just instructing me to pull it back. We're going to take a look at it, how beautiful it looks. And you know, they say that there's nothing better than, this is right now the best it's ever going to be, because as it sits and you pick it, the sugars turn to starches. So then you just basically take it. I'm like a typewriter. You want me to go ding, and then go back. So to me, there's no need to cook this right now. It's unbelievably sweet, super crunchy and refreshing. We're gonna get some corn, we're gonna go look at some peaches, and then we're gonna go back in the kitchen and hopefully put something together for you folks. Enjoy. We're back from Wurst Berry Farm. We're up on the rooftop garden, and we're gonna put together a really simple peach compote for you folks. Something really easy to make at home, not a ton of ingredients, basic stuff that we're gonna do here. So for the peach compote, obviously we need some really nice peaches, preferably local. You go to the farmer's market, Wurst Berry Farm, Wishing Stone Farm. I know those folks all have some peaches right now. We're gonna need to peel the peaches. We're gonna dice them up. We're gonna have some onions minced. We're using some minced ginger. We have some small diced red peppers. We're using brown sugar. Light brown is preferred. We're using some champagne vinegar. We have a little Dijon mustard. We have white wine. We have a little bit of water, and of course the fresh peaches. So it's really easy to put together once you get all your mise en place done. Remember, those are words we discussed in other videos. If you've been following along, you should know exactly what that is. It makes cooking that much more fun. So as far as the peaches, real quick, there's two varieties or two styles of peaches that are grown. You have freestone and clingstone. Now, yes, I had to look those up. I knew about freestone, so I didn't know about that word clingstone. Okay, so these, you cannot get the pits out easily. So when we get into making this, we're going to show you how to deal with that and what to do with it. So again, a freestone, the pits generally, when you cut these in half, come right out. And clingstone means that the pit is pretty well attached to the pulp of the peach. So the first thing we want to do, we've gotten all our ingredients together, we're going to peel these peaches. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So now that we have our peaches, it's time to figure out how to peel them. So the way we're doing it here, I'm looking for peaches that have a little give to them, but if they're really ripe, peeling them with a peeler might give you some difficulties. So we also have a paring knife. So I'm going to show you just quickly two ways you can do it. So the first thing I like to do is I'm going to take a cut here, top and bottom. And the reason why I'm doing this is so when I use my peeler, I have a flush edge, a straight edge, to then get my blade under and peel it back, just like that. And then also too, by cutting it here, it gives you a nice secure place for your hands to hold the peach as you're peeling it. And you just, your hand moves one way, the peeler moves the other. So we'll do one with the peeler. Now you can see we're getting into probably a bruise, probably where I squeezed it. So then I peel it back, and then maybe you just come back through here, okay? So that one's peeled. We move our peelings over, we're gonna do one more. Grab the peach, remember, we're gonna cut this off, and we're just trimming it a little bit. Don't worry, all this is gonna be used. Now, if you had to use your paring knife because the peach was really ripe, you can do this way, where you peel it towards you. Same idea, your knife is moving and you're moving the peach. So you're holding the knife and I'm turning my hand. So the peach is turning into the blade. So this is one way. Now, if you didn't feel comfortable holding it, you can also do it this way. You can hold the peach down, you can peel it down, but remember, follow the contour of the peach. You don't just cut straight down. Peach is round. Follow the contour of the skin and the peach, just like this. If you miss a little spot, that's okay, you go back. just like that, and then you can just pull that off. I mean, a little bit of skin is not the end of the world, like that. And now, because these are clingstones, meaning the pit will not remove easily, we're going to basically cut down, and I can feel I get into the pit. That's okay, just cut around it. If you feel you're hitting the pit, just move your knife around it. So we have 4 cuts like that. Now you're left with a lot of pulp on here on the pit. If these were really ripe, I would say to wash your hands, and then you want to squeeze all the pulp off of the pit. You don't want to waste that. If these are a little firmer, what we're going to do is we're actually going to add them right into our compote, let them cook for several hours, and then once they're done and cooled, you can then squish all the pulp off so you don't waste anything. That's the idea. So again, we're just going to cut one down, and if I hit the pit like I've just done, just move your knife and let it go around it, just like that. You might be able to take a little off of the end as well. All right? And now all we're doing for this recipe is it's just a really basic dice. We want them roughly the same size, but keep in mind they're going to cook for several hours, about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, and then we're going to run them through a food mill. We're using the food mill because we like the texture that it finishes the product. It'll be almost like a nice applesauce. So just like this. Okay? And it's always suggested to maybe do 1 or 2 extra peaches because you certainly are going to want to eat some of these as you're dicing them up. All right? They're too good to not try them as you're cooking. Just like that. So you would do that for about 6 to 8 peaches, and then we'll put together the recipe from there. So I had mentioned that the peelings and the tops are not wanted to be wasted. So we're going to use a coffee filter. We're going to put the peelings. Now, wasn't able to use all the peelings of the recipe, but half of them are better than nothing. What this does is add some color, flavor to your compote. So I put them in the coffee filter, and we're just going to fold it over once. Fold it this way, like a burrito, and then you tuck in your corners, and then you can just roll it over like that. And then you use, I happen to have some butcher's string, so basically you want to just tie it up. I do it once over, and then you would just tie it off. Okay, just like that. And then what you have is essentially this. And at the end, during the cooking, right when we add all the liquid, we bring it up to the simmer, we're going to drop this in. And this just stays in there. Okay, so now it is time to put together our compote. We're going to use a little bit of blended oil. So that's basically an extra virgin olive oil and a canola oil blend. That's what we generally use for our cooking. Just a little bit in there. Now remember sweating. We're going to add a little bit of salt that helps bring out the moisture. So we're going to add our onions. So just a nice small dice of the onion. And now is when I want to add a little bit of salt. You don't want to add too much, but just enough to start bringing out the moisture. It helps cook the onions and allows them to sweat. Okay, so the onions have started to sweat. It'll take about 5, 6, 7 minutes. If you're on the roof and there's wind, it might take 10 minutes. So we're letting our onions sweat a bit. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our red peppers. We're just going to cook those for a minute or so. So the next thing we're going to add is we're going to add our minced ginger. And we're going to want to treat the ginger like you might garlic. So just as you start smelling the ginger, that's your indication that you're getting, it's cooking. You don't want to burn your ginger. And now the next thing we want to do is we're going to add our brown sugar. And then we're going to allow that to just dissolve and just bring it up to a slight boil. And this should take a minute or so. And if you remember, in some of our other videos, we discuss using a brush and water to clean the edges of the pans. And this is a good time to implement that because if you can see on the edges of the pans, there'll be sugar, there'll be onions, a little bit of ginger. You want to take your brush and clean those off because the edges of the pan will burn. And we'll want to do this throughout the cooking process. As it reduces, you want to constantly maintain your pot. It makes it easier to clean, and it keeps the ingredients from burning on the edge, especially because we're using sugars. So it's just starting to boil now. Now is the time we want to add our Dijon mustard. And the recipe for this will be in the link below. So don't worry, I'm not telling you how much I'm using, but there'll be a recipe that will follow. So we get our Dijon mustard into there. And then at this point, we're going to add our water, our wine, our vinegar. We're going to add our peaches, our sachet, and then we're going to add these pit pieces. That way, once it's cooked, we can squish out all that peach meal, okay? So we're going to add our vinegar. Our water and wine are combined. We're going to add in our diced peaches. I'll get all those in there. And then we would add our little sachet. And then we could add our pits in here. Now, if you were to add these pits in, once this is cooked, you're going to remove them. Obviously, allow them to cool a little bit before you squeeze out the liquid. So everything goes in. You'll bring this back to a boil, and you allow it to simmer for about 2.5 hours. Our compote has been simmering for several hours now, and it's ready to be put through the food mill. So this batch that we had made, the peaches were really ripe, so you're not going to see the pits in there for us to remove the pulp. That's been done already because we squished it all and put it in here. So the first thing you're going to do, if you don't have pits in here, is you're going to remove our little bundle. And what I've done is I've set up a little strainer because we are going to want to try to squish out as much of the liquid as we can. All right, so we'll do that. And while that sits for a minute, we're now going to run our peach compote through a food mill, okay? So this is something that you can get pretty much anywhere, stock culinary goods. You can order them online if you're not local. But basically, this tool forces the product through the bottom and through these holes. And the reason why we're doing this is because we like the texture at the end result that this produces. So you can certainly leave this unmilled, refrigerated overnight, and serve it the way it is, chunky. But we prefer to run it through the food mill and serve it. It sort of gives you a texture of applesauce, which is something we really like. So for milling it, you basically are just going to take it, you're going to dump it into your food mill. Now remember, if the pits were in here, you would have wanted to remove the pits just like I did with the little sachet. The trick with a food mill, basically you go a few strokes this way, clockwise, and then backstroke counterclockwise. Strokes this way, counterclockwise. And the reason we're doing that is because you want to clean off the holes so you can continue to force through the pulp. And this is something that you should feel tired doing this. It's a workout. And you're forcing this stuff through. And it will all go through. Okay? And I'll just show you what it's coming through in the bottom. It'll be loose. Some of the pulp will come through. And then we'll refrigerate this overnight. And then you'll see the consistency because we're going to put together a little dish for you. So with this coffee filter now, it really doesn't matter if it falls apart because we're doing it through a strainer. And we're really just trying to get any of the liquid that is on the skins. You're going to get some nice color. Just like that, see? And then what we do is we take this liquid, you can just dump it right on top of here. It makes no difference because it's all going to be pushed right through. And then you're just going to continue mixing. Just like that. Okay. So we've made our compote. It's been milled. We've refrigerated it overnight. And now we just thought it would be fun to showcase some of the things that we sell in our marketplace that we think if you do put this recipe together and you need some inspiration on some food ideas, We make all sorts of homemade sausages. We have a mustard that we call Joyce's mustard. Remember, I got distracted and I was up at Ward's and we got corn, so we thought it would be a nice way to show you how quickly to steam together some sausages and some corn for a real simple light afternoon lunch or a light dinner. So we're using our knockwursts right now. We put them in a pan, a little bit of blended oil, and we're just searing them. Remember, all the sausages that we sell are fully cooked, so they're really easy to reheat. There's so many different ways you can do it. On our packages, it tells you a simple reheat method. So right now, I've got them browning up nicely. Now you do have to remember, you can overcook our sausages. Too much heat, they'll want to expand with steam and split. That's okay, but I prefer it not to happen. So we have our sausages cooking. Now, want to make it really easy for you folks. We're going to take our corn. We've cut it up. I'm just going to put it in here. Now I ate the corn raw because we had just picked it. This has been sitting for a few hours. It's time to cook it. 2-3 minutes is the most you need to steam it, especially when we've cut it this way. So it's been cut, it's been put into the pan. We're going to put a little salt and pepper. We have a little blend we use with paprika, dried thyme. And now we're going to steam it. Okay? So this is what I do. I would turn the heat off of my pan. I'm going to put a bit of water, and I've made this handy little lid for our saucepan or saute pan because I don't have one. So we're just going to put a little bit of water in there, creating steam, and then we're going to cover it. And you just let it sit for about a minute or so. The sausage is already cooked. We're steaming the corn. Go ahead and put it together. Remember, we think it goes great with our Joyce's mustard, found in our marketplace, along with our sausages. So we've steamed our corn. Our sausages are cooked. Again, a really simple summertime meal. Some lightly steamed corn. We have the Chez Pascal, Wurst Kitchen's homemade sausages. These are our knockwursts. We're going to slice those up. We have our Joyce's mustard, and then you can see this is after milling our Peach Compote. This is the consistency. So I would say it's like a nice applesauce, okay? This would go really good on cheeses, grilled pork, steak, sausages. And now we're just going to slice our sausages. Remember, these are all done in natural casings. We just would put them just right on the plate. And I think that's really all you need to do. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button and then subscribe so you can follow along. I want to thank the folks at Ward's Berry Farm for letting me just show up, giving me a little tutorial on corn, and for Kristen driving me around safely in my little cart. We'll see you all again in August with another culinary video. Thanks again for watching. Good enough? Yeah. All right. You guys want to eat this, right? That was so much fun.